not because of he's happy doing it. All the economic gist you are giving now is what he had 20 years ago, and he's not recovered from those ones yet. Yes. People don't get it. So they're calling me their line. Last time when their lines were bad, they didn't go and correct it. Now they bad them again. They're coming. God the rest. I'm not getting new lines.
Wait, the lines were bad.
You know, the last time when they banned around
That was
before the
was
protests.
it July? Was it August?
Yes,
I think
you know,
it was July.
you know,
July, yeah, July.
so there's obviously the new whatever September, I think it's 14th.
Yeah, 14.
So the tacos are still barring again. Same thing as still barring batches, rebarring those numbers they barred the last time. If you had not corrected their stuff. And I said,
But those numbers that they bad and unbad, why haven't they gone to correct?
you know, people just sat down and like, oh, you don't know what happened. You know, it was an error, and they just sat
It was all over the news now.
People are Nigerians are interesting human beings.
This is Smooth 98.1 Love Music, Love Life. It is a Tuesday morning, 31 minutes past 7 a.m. My name is Ayokunmi Kekiriakum. And of course, it's that time to take a look, a deep dive into what's going on in the papers all around the country. This is Freshly Pressed. It's an interactive session as always. We'd love to get your thoughts, your opinions, and of course, what you feel about the issues that we will be discussing. You can do that by sending your messages in to us on WhatsApp. The number is 0809 440 981. 0809 440 981. That is the WhatsApp number. Also streaming live on YouTube. Yes, you can find us at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. I've got my analyst in with me in this morning to shed some light, make some sense of everything, and just separate the wheat from the chaff, as it were. Chibuzor is in with me this morning. Very good morning to you, Chibuzor. Good to have you once again.
I'm gonna try to get in an the good morning greeting. I didn't know how to be truthful. If I was gonna be honest, I didn't know how to. I wasn't sure how I would respond to the good morning because yes, it's. I don't think it's been a good morning for myself or most Nigerians who are wondering how they're going to find their way to their places of work or out of their homes, or even get past the long queues and long roadblocks, especially in Lagos. But hey, let's thank God for life. Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Lagos. We're here.
We can only thank God for life, and of course, just try to keep ourselves sane and keep things together. It's not the easiest thing to do. I know. But hey, that is just what we can do at this point in time. Let's begin our journey talking about, of course, the issues concerning petrol. That's not originally where I wanted to begin this conversation, but you've actually steered the ship in that direction. So hey, why not? So we'll begin our conversation this morning in the Punch newspaper, and it says that the Dangote Petroleum Refinery is set to roll out the sale of premium motor spirit, that's otherwise known as petrol. That's a report, according to the Punch. They say the report authoritatively. Now, this is coming a few days after the 650,000 capacity refinery engaged in a test run of the products. Now, industry sources confirmed to Punch correspondents that the product would hit the market soon. We'll hold on to that one. Now, the sources who pleaded anonymity told correspondents that the government and the Dangote Group were working out modalities for the circulation of the products. Now, okay, on one hand, this is, you would say it's a good thing, despite whatever stories have been said before. But my issue here, once again, and I'm pretty sure it's an issue for many people, is would hit the market soon. Nigerians have gone beyond the point of soon, really.
Okay, so for Nigerians, anything that hits them, if they could, any drop of petrol or PMS that could hit the market now is sooner than much later. Nigerians are hungry for the product at the moment. At what price remains the major question, but Nigerians do need the product out. So we hope, as speaking as a Nigerian, we hope that the soon is sooner rather than later, as immediate as we can, because right now we are spending a lot of time that could be productively used in doing other things sitting on fuel queues, anticipating sales of products from stations that would not sell or cannot sell, and just basically causing, blocking up roads and major arteries leading into major parts of the city,
Oh yes.
and making life uncomfortable for ourselves and everybody around us because we basically have to get the product to be able to make our ends meet. So I digress because I do know a lot of people have talked about subsidies to fuel has always been to make the rich, for the rich. But obviously, when we look at Nigeria, where we are in Nigeria, fuel is not just consumed by the rich in quote. It has a rollerball effect. So it's about having the products and at what price, because that price also will determine a lot of impact on the larger things within the economy. But back to the story. So finally, we're hearing some good news from Alaji and his refinery. The 600, I think it's the 650,000 barrels per day
Capacity.
capacity refinery is about to reel out its product in commercial volumes. We saw, I think, for those of us on social media yesterday, a lot of us got this video about this bottle being filled up with what we assume to be PMS from a tap, and to herald the arrival of Dangote's of the refinery's first product. So we do know that the NNPC are the only authorized sellers of this product for now.
Mm.
My concern obviously is given NNPC's current quandary with debt and payments, if they're going to add this to their list of creditors, or how they're going to sort out the commercials around it. So I do suspect that that's some of the modalities that are being sorted out, and obviously eventual the pump price, because one of the reasons why NNPC claims to have found itself today is the difference between what is the landing cost of the product and what it's being retailed out from NNPC outlets today. Yes, for most Nigerians somehow expect that there will be a drop in price or cost of the Dangote product, given that it's not imported. But in reality, if you look at the price constituents of the product, it's petrol, the crude in itself, which gives out the petrol and it is internationally benchmarked.
Mm.
The refining costs and everything also is internationally benchmarked. So things that you would basically avoid in terms of costing, and this is me speaking from my layman's point of view, would be things like your shipping costs that you would avoid. Long term, Nigeria should, depends on what the commercials are. Nigeria may avoid the cost on forex or sourcing forex, depending, like I said, is that largely dependent on what the commercials are, because like I said, the product itself is benchmarked at international rate, and
Mm.
it's between us and me, you, and the government, and then NPC and Dangote, knowing what has been agreed in terms of commercials and how this product will be purchased. So the good thing is that at least we'll have some local capacity to be able to get some products in the long run. We don't have to depend on importing this product, but you know at the end of the day, the question is, what is the long-term plan for Nigeria
Exactly.
in terms of supply, give ensuring security of supply for this product. And I think more importantly for a lot of Nigerians is, given the fact that we are a producer of crude, which is now processed into PMS and its other constituents. And one of the major reasons why we are here today, as we are as a country in a state where we are basically strapped for crude, is that we have continued the exportation of raw products outwards without being able to manufacture or produce the finished product, which is able to sell at higher value. So we're just getting the basic payments for our large chunk of resources. So what is the plan to solve that problem internally? So it's not just about you know refining for our local consumption. It's about
Right.
how do we stop this cycle where we're just chucking out, taking out crude, taking out yams, taking out everything, and just chucking it abroad, and just getting the barest minimum payments for these things, because we've chosen not to add value to them here locally. So, but it's a good step for Alaji and his team, once this goes commercially out, and it's a good step. And by extension, yeah, as much as which for whatever we want to see, it's a positive for Nigeria.
It's a positive for Nigeria, but still talking about this. You already alluded to something that was in that particular story, and then, noting that for now it's only NNPC outlets that will be authorized to should I say, dispense this product from the Dangote refinery. But of course, that would be in a short-term capacity because I mean that's not enough to, should I say, get around and be supplied for everyone who needs it within the country. Now, is there a possibility that I don't know along the line? I mean, looking at where NNPC is right now, looking at the issues that they're dealing with. I mean, of course, there's a serious supply issue where NNPC is concerned. Now, could there be a possibility that okay, maybe when the Dangote refinery actually begins to dispense the products, that the NNPC might feel a little relaxed that okay, at least for now, there's somebody else who is supplying this. Maybe we can just kind of squirm around this and not, should I say, put the necessary effort that is necessary to do what they also need to do to get things back to a regular level. Because look at what's happening now. It's a serious problem.
So I think for me also, like I said, it's about long term strategy. Does the we have I think we have four refineries in quote, and I use air quotes for to describe our refineries because for lack of better knowledge, I don't think they refined anything serious in the last decade at least. You know, so we do have four entities that if you look at how much has been spent in trying to turn them around, turn them sideways, turn them forward in the last periods, and even the cost of managing them, because don't forget these refineries have staff.
Mm.
They have equipment that the longer they don't work, obviously, the more you're gonna spend in cost of maintenance and replacements. And even on the normal, some of these equipment also have, you know, time, periods of time for a window for replacement. So there's a cost attached to even keeping that refinery in its current state, that it's producing or not today. Is it can you correlate that cost today to the value that it's creating? And what is the long-term strategy for not just for the NNPC but for the government? So one of the challenges obviously is that today those assets, who do those assets belong to? Do they belong to the federal government? Do they belong to an NPC and or whichever agency or whichever sub part of the older NPC that the government holds, I think, over 50% in? Because obviously we'll speak to who can sell or who can manage or who can change those assets. So there's a lot of things that need to look. What is the long term plan for this? And I do think it needs to be clear to it, these things are things that need to be shared with Nigerians, so Nigerians do understand,
Mm.
what the expectations are, what they're looking for. To because, like I said, it doesn't have to be restricted to those refineries.
Right.
We've talked a lot about modular refineries. How much capacity are the modular refineries going to be able to produce? What products are they going to be produced? How do they fit into the larger picture in terms of product supply in Nigeria? Just fuel, diesel, whatever they are going to produce. If it's the oils, because it's not just about fuel going up and diesel going up. The cost of buying oils, engine oils, everything is high,
It's
and
it's
they are
nuts.
all fruits of the same tree. So there is a bigger issue that I don't think we're discussing enough. But obviously, the thing on the front burner today is the fact that we all don't have fear, or you know, finding fear now is almost like speculating for gold. In the Wild West, back in the day in the US. So we are just all searching every minute of that.
Hmm. Let me take a message on WhatsApp. This is from Adegboye Gadidiji. It says the lies surrounding the operations, runnings, and management of the citadel of corruption called NNPCL is beyond human comprehension. This is an organization where people sworn to an oath of secrecy and die with the secrets. An organization run and managed by principalities and powers, the coven of darkness that are hell-bound in destroying the nation Nigeria. It will take a revolutionary leader to make a change in the NNPCL. Adeboye Gadidiji going all in on that one. Dio, let me see. Dio, when you built your government on lies, eye service, propaganda, Dio, you need to shake up your messages because you more or less send the same messages each and every single day. But thank you for sharing your thoughts. Shake it up a little bit. Ajayi Oluniluwa from Agodo says, if Dangote is now producing fuel, I wonder why government is creating another bottleneck of making NNPCL the sole distributor, even as it has muddled up the supply of its imported fuel. God help us. Well, it's for now,
Yeah, it's for now.
for the moment.
Yeah, for the
That's
moment.
according to the statement that was made. So, I guess the idea is that eventually it will be open to every other supplier distributor, as it were. So we're still talking about petroleum and fuel related matters because hey, that's on the lips of every single person. We're going to jump into the Vanguard right now. where the headline says anxiety as pump price of petrol races towards 1,405 naira per liter. Now, Nigeria's downstream petroleum industry may have gone into a frenzy following clear indications that the federal government may no longer sustain the cost of under recovery, otherwise known as subsidy, due to the steady rise in petrol import bills. Now, industry operators told the Vanguard yesterday that it is now clear that pump price may be officially raised soon to enable the government through the NNPCL to generate enough funds to settle its outstanding bills on products received on credit supply by several international dealers. So, is this saying that fuel prices need to be increased so they can get more money in order to pay off their debts?
So to start up with, okay. So the background to this story basically is, well, it's obvious for Nigerians to see. We are sitting on four queues, at least within Lagos, that I'm aware of. We're sitting largely on four queues, and for those who are able to get in at various and some locations, you're able to pay. So to remind Nigerians, I think the official rate at the NNPC fuel stations is supposed to be about 568 naira for a liter. I think other stations are able to sell between, I think, as much as 620, 625 or something like that. I can't remember. Now, but obviously a lot of us have not seen the product. So if you go around places in the metropolis today, you would see all sorts of queues, traffic points, very few vehicles are actually moving on the road.
Right.
Because a lot of them are actually at home or parked somewhere on the four queues. So basically, within Lagos, we've experienced a shortfall of supply. Um, in some stations outside, that's largely outside the NNPC space, you would you might be able to get products, or like I did over the weekend, at about 900 naira per liter. In fact, before I got at 900 naira per liter, I was somewhere else at 950 per liter. A friend of mine who was in Ogun State was able to. He said there are no queues in Abiyokuta because he got it at 950 per liter. So basically, fuel has been retaining high above the NMPC retail rate in a lot of stations. This is not just about the black market of buying off a jerrycan on the streets.
Hmm.
It's retaining in stations at as high as 950, 900. Now, what we are hearing is that, and this is based on the Vanguard, that they've gone out and they've basically gone to do competitions based on information at NMDPRA, which is the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, and they put the landing cost of fuel at about 1,206 naira. And if they add up, and what the industry players are saying, that if you add in other cost, about you could chuck in another 200 naira, and that goes to about 1,450, because from landing costs is where it gets to the ports, or where it gets brought into Nigeria and hopefully to the ports. And for that point, you have to distribute it to various points. So adding another 200 naira to move to various points, and you're looking at about 1,400 naira. So, so back to the NNPC. So NNPC has largely been the major importer of PMS, and they've been retailing at 568. And if you are looking at Sasa today at a landing cost of 1,260, 205, you are looking at about a 600 to 700 naira difference in that.
Hmm.
So basically, NNPC isn't able to get the cost of the product from the retail, from its retail. So it's not able to get the value of the cost from what it's selling out, basically. And that is basically a gap. So it's a gap in revenue for the NNPC based on this logic. And what we are hearing, or what we heard last week, and NNPC actually came out with a statement of its own to say, basically, you know what, there's reason for the shortfall in supply, or the queues and everything you are seeing out there, is that, um, basically, we are not able to pay. We are owing people that we have bought this product from before, and we are not able to pay, and our debt has risen to about 6 billion. So a lot of these guys are saying, no, we're not going to give you product anymore until you pay up your debt or part of your debt, and we're stuck here. But they came out, I remember reading through that statement, and it was a lot of. It was a statement that came out to tell us something without telling us how you're going to solve the problem. You just ended up with a promise. Looked like a politician's, a typical politician's campaign statement. Oh, we're going to do everything in our ways to sort out the issues. How we intend to sort out the issues, we don't know. When we enter, yeah, the how is going to be reflective of the when, and when we're going to make these decisions, we don't know. I do know that obviously, because of all the economic pressures that a rise in cost of product will lead to, officially, the government probably is reluctant to do that. But at this point, it's looking like those are the bells that are tolling for Nigerians. I do know that outside Lagos, for instance, that on a regular basis, people have been buying products at higher prices, but much higher prices. But the reality is that once it goes up officially, those who are getting at 900, 950, have been getting at 900, 950, or 800 outside Lagos will probably be getting at that price plus X.
AB on YouTube says in Port Harcourt it's sold for 950 per liter.
So it's going to go much higher than that once you increase it. So that's, and when we look at that, we now start looking at what's going to be the impact on inflation, because obviously a lot of this, it's an important constituent to a lot of our productive activities today in Nigeria. So it will impact on how do we produce things, how much are you going to retail some of those things. Everybody wants to recoup their cost. We are going to see a rollerball effect of some level in it when it happens. So what will eventually happen in terms of this story, we're not sure where NPCs or the government is going to go with it. Unfortunately, last time I checked, the minister for petroleum is somewhere out of the country.
He's in China.
He's in China now. I thought he was in France.
He's in China now.
Okay, he's moved from France to China. He's racking up the air miles. So I guess when he come back, they'll tell us he's gone to China to go and bring in more funds, investments,
sign MOUs and so on and so
sign
forth.
MOUs and stuff like that. So we do hope that we would hear something specific in terms of solving this problem. But it seems that the government and its agencies have decided to keep silence and allow Nigerians to just sort themselves out while they think of a solution. So that's what's happening. Nigerians are trying to sort themselves out, buying from whatever they can buy, obstructing all the traffic and basically descending into some level of chaos on our roads.
Sadly, Nigerians are no strangers to sorting themselves out. You don't have power, sort it out. You don't have water, get a borehole. If you don't have this and that, you have to find your way. It's a sad state of affairs. Deji on WhatsApp says, I hope it's also not a positive for diverting fuel to other countries. The PMS smugglers, syndicates, or cabal have never been brought to justice. What is the plan of the government to tackle smuggling to other countries? That's a big question there.
I can't answer that question, but like I said, one thing I've always said to people, I think this tied to the Dangote story, is that I'm not sure there's any exclusivity agreement that he only has to sell to Nigeria. So he's producing, whoever is going to be able to buy either locally or outside the country will pay a price. And last time I checked, he'll be free to be able to export to wherever he wants to, as long as he's paying the right customs fees or charges. So yeah.
Right. Idimapuza says, Mr. President should address Nigerians as the petroleum minister to explain to us why we should be suffering fuel scarcity despite being blessed with abundant crude oil by God, why the constant shifting of dates for our refineries to function. Now the prices of fuel are becoming unaffordable. God help us. Well, he's in China signing MOU, so maybe when he comes back, he'll talk to us as the petroleum minister. But anyways, back to the stories here. Heading into the Premium Times, where the Nigerian police have accused a British socialist, Andrew Wynne, also known as Andrew Povich or Drew Povey, of building a network of sleeper cells to topple the Bola Tinubu administration and plunge the nation into chaos. Now, police spokesperson Olumuyiwa Adejobi said this in a statement that was shared with Premium Times. Now, the government also declared the Briton wanted, saying that he has fled the country. Now, this Mr. Wynne is apparently the individual who rented a space at Labour House in Abuja for an Iva Valley bookshop and established Stars of Nation schools as a cover for his subversive activities, according to the reports that we got.
So what we have, obviously, is that I think I basically covered the story. Police have declared this man wanted. He said he's trying to subvert, and he's basically been building up, sleeper cells and with the goal of basically toppling the government. There's some point about here where they thought that they're basically trying to get the army to come and take over. A lot of stuff that when I was reading the story earlier today, reminded me of stuff that I would have seen maybe 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago. Or maybe back in the old days where everybody was afraid of communists or socialists who overthrew every government. Yeah, and please, this is not to disregard what the police are claiming has happened. And when it comes to issues like this, I am very circumspect about making any comments on these issues until when they are sorted out. But hey, the police have laid their stuff on the ground. They're looking for this 70-year-old Briton who has a communist or socialist background or orientation or beliefs, who has rented the some office space within the NLC building, and I set up sleeper cells. And I think as part of that, there were some protesters from, I think, from the last end bad governance protest that were arraigned
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
on Monday and were accused of collaborating with the 70-year-old Briton. Um, one of my fears, and I think this is what typically happens with a lot of Nigerians when they read stories like this, is that you're caught in two minds. You're caught in either wholly believing the security agencies and the government by extension, but because of there's a deficit of trust between Nigerian citizens and the security, and their Nigerian citizens and their government, and even with some of the security agencies, you still typically go back. You know what? At least it is true or false, but we'll see how the things pan out. Because when I think back to the protest, and I always my position on protest has always been it's a right of individuals. I might not agree what you want to protest for, what you're protesting about, but it's your right to protest. When it's if you're able to now tell me and convince a judge now that they did more than just carrying billboards or printing placards or organizing people to come and protest, and they had a bigger goal, then maybe that's what end up learning in the future. But hey, like I said, I would hold my peace on this story, largely on where it might go until the end of it. But hey, happy hunting for the Nigerian police.
Happy hunting. Okay, but before we drop this particular some schools of thought are of the opinion that this is probably another, should I say, distraction from the real issues that are plaguing Nigerians right now.
Like I said, I was avoiding going in that direction. I didn't want to be
I've carried
I
you
didn't want
there.
to be the conspiracy theorist that went in that direction. See, it's interesting. I think one of our listeners has actually sent a message about how they should handle beach and all that, Boko Haram and all the, what do you call it, the terrorists back down different parts of the country. That we It seems to appear that when it comes to things like this, I'm going to look at it from two sides. It seems to appear that when it comes to things like this, protests, you see the entire government, everybody comes out full blast. By Ononuga comes out and says, "Oh, it's political. It's the political enemies." He sees them in every corner of his room, and he always speaks out against them. And you see various elements of the government speaking out to the same thing. You see these security agencies telling how they are subversive forces, how they want to take down things. And because of Nigerians have heard that comment and those cries too many times, like the child that called was
Cried wolf.
that cried wolf. When you hear it too many times, it's hard to believe that it's actually true. So it's one of those things that when it has the things with political impact or direct impact on the government, you see a lot of running around. And you don't get that feel or that impression, and I use the word very carefully. You don't get that feel when it's things about larger security issues that we've been dealing or plagued with for over 15 years now in this country. You don't get that rush when there's a there's a kidnap of, like, the doctors that the resident doctors are going on strike for
Mm.
have gone. You don't get that feel that amount of work, that amount of commitment is going to resolve those issues. But hey, you know what? At the end of the day, I would like to see where these investigations gets to and how what comes out of it. Because if I go the other way and think about it from the fact that this is actually real and this is what is happening, like I said, happy hunting to the police. It's a major issue, but it also speaks to where we are politically, that we would think that that this could basically happen or be part of our reality, because of, obviously, the economic pressures are a lot.
Right.
The government hasn't done itself too much, given itself too much credit or helped itself a lot more, because of right now we're in a bit of a mess. Governments are silent. The minister for petroleum is out, signing MOU somewhere. Everybody is silent, and, like, it will play out, and Nigerians will sort themselves out. So maybe it's a wake up for call for the government to actually look at itself and look at its relationship with its people and try and redefine it.
Mm. Very important to actually think in that direction. Let's take messages as we round up on Freshly Press this morning. Lara from Neki says, please, they should go and handle Boko Haram before this chasing shadows they want to start doing. Thank you for that, Lara. That's what Chibuzor was actually alluding to. Joseph Meyer says the lackadaisical and deafening silence from the government on pressing challenges confronting the citizens is worrisome. Just imagine fuel hovering between 800 to 1,500 naira, gas prices 1,400 naira per kilogram, food soaring, electricity tariff hike, etc. All these foundations for chaos. NNPCL now saying They will be the sole customer to Dangote for now, which hasn't started producing. What about other local refineries? May God bless Nigeria. Thank you for sharing your thoughts there, Joseph. Who else is talking to us? This is a message coming in from, let me say, from Ken. Sir Ken says, so Nigeria's intelligence units are not intelligent enough to quietly investigate and arrest the foreigner who is suspected to be planning a forceful regime change. This doesn't make sense. A distraction. You're also prosecuting protesters for treason. Nothing but gaslighting here. You the Andrew Wine me. You know what, Sir Ken? If in Nigeria we don't do things with flash bangs and so on and so forth, have we shown ourselves as Nigerian? It's our way.
How do you know they're working if you don't hear?
Exactly. All the bells and whistles need to come out. Come on. It's Nigeria, giant of Africa. Barrister Danukuda says, with the present insecurity ravaging the country, I doubt if President Tinubu junketing around the globe will bring any investor to the country. And let me see. Deji says, seems the police need low-hanging fruits. For example, protests to show they are working. How about kidnapping, bandits, terrorism, robbery? The list is long. Now, what? And Dio says, this government has destroyed our history, culture, reputation, and integrity. And thank you very much for your message, Dio. I appreciate you sharing your thoughts, and I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much, Chibuzor.
Ayo's best friend.
We have a relationship like that. Thank you so much, Chibuzor, for coming this morning, and of course, sharing your thoughts on Freshly Pressed. It's a pleasure as always.
It's a pleasure. It's been my pleasure this morning. Back to the roads.
Back to life, back to reality.
Avoiding the queues and traffic.
Thank you all for your messages. Keep it tuned to Smooth 98.1 and the Smooth Breakfast. We'll take a walk into the grapevine at 8:15. It's all about entertainment, gist, and so much more.
The headlines, the stories, the news.
This is Dio guy. Wants to put me in trouble.
In-depth analysis.
We'll shock you how quickly else come down here.
It's not.